basically he ends up leaving his soul, or leaving his body and his soul out in the ether. You got a picture of it here.
Hey, welcome to the Thursday Collection Connection, where we're playing that game that's just an excuse to talk about records. I'd like to open with an apology. I approached this game fairly seriously for something that is total frivolity, and I like to go into Eric's suggestions. My brother Eric, Plastic Eric from the Plastic Soundwave Cult, who is the person I play the game with. I like to take his suggestions and approach him with an open mind, learn a little something, at the same time learning a little something about my pick. Doing some research is kind of part of the fun. You expand your horizons. You maybe find some new sounds that you weren't familiar with. And so that said, this video is not going to reflect that at all. I generally have 2.5 days or so to turn these videos around, and I have been mentally occupied for the past couple of days. I did get to listen to the album, which was Mastodon, I should mention. Mastodon's Crack the Sky. And it was a bit of a stumper, but I only really got to play through it once. Didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of research. I noticed that the producer was listed as Brendan O'Brien, who seemingly had produced some of Amy Mann's, Amy Mann's Bachelor No. 2 album. But I think of that as a John Bryan album, so I'm not sure what the deal was. I decided not to do that, so I didn't really look into it any further. I also saw that they're from Atlanta and thought about maybe some Guadalcanal Diary, but I feel like I'd done that just recently as far as where somebody's from. And that's when I realized that Mastodon backwards is No.Sam, which really didn't help me find an album either, but I thought I would point it out. One of these days I'm going to get an anagram out of one of these choices. I tried to think of a song broken into 4 parts explicitly, as one of the tracks on that album was, but in the end it just ended up being a real stumper. I will say again, it is a little outside of my wheelhouse, or very outside of my wheelhouse, I should say. The vocals reminded me at times of Ozzy Osbourne, which is not a criticism it's just an observation. But there were a couple of times, I think like on the title track, where they got into that very throaty, that really kind of turns me off. But very intricate guitar work and rhythms and stuff, and not bad, but yeah, probably nothing I would ever follow up on. But that's it. Getting back to the stumper, I decided to connect Mastodon's Crack the Sky I'm breaking new ground here, because I am actually, for the first time in the game, I'm going to break out a CD single for Neil Finn's Hole in the Ice. The connection, of course, is that both Crack the Sky and Hole in the Ice begin with parts of the human butt. So that's what I came up with. In my desperation, I went for my inner 10-year-old that made me giggle. And this single was the thing I had that filled my criteria. And so, yeah, as far as singles go, it was a 2-parter. You got both parts actually right there. In the UK especially, they would often, back in the day, this is from, I think, 2001. It was a single off of his album 1-0, which was released in the States as 1-All. Got a new title and a slight adjustment to the album artwork. I don't necessarily think it's the strongest single. I'm a huge Neil Finn guy. The B-sides are all live tracks from that album, from his previous solo album, Try Whistling This, and a couple of Crowded House tracks. So if anything, you're not going to, if you're even able to find it, Eric, to listen to, you're not going to have to invest much time, which is a nice break after The Wall from last week. But I thought, all right, Neil Finn, he's great. I love him. I met him on my 30th birthday, actually. He played a show when we were living in Washington, D.C. I will throw up the photo if I can find it in my archive. And yeah, he signed an album that he helped me pull the plastic wrap off of, and he signed it with "It's a Mint Copy." But in general, he definitely tried to stretch himself, I think, as time went on. The writing just impeccable pop songs came so easily and come so easily to him. I almost feel like he's embarrassed of the fact, that he could just rail off songs one after another and they'd all be fantastic. And so he has constantly gone out of his way to challenge himself into different things. I think that was where the title from his first solo album, Try Whistling This, came from. But even then, that first album is still pretty crowded housey and has some pretty impeccable pop songs on it. But he definitely kind of grunged things up and would get different writing partners and try and approach things from a different angle, all in an attempt to challenge himself. But I thought I would talk a little bit just about singles in general and the fact that I miss the single. There's got to be a breed of collector that I've never met who primarily collected the singles. But to me, always being an album guy, I would always look for a single that had a non-album track on the B-side, especially a studio track. Those are the holy grail of singles. And they always strike me as hidden gems. I enjoy them, especially, and Neil Finn has some fantastic B-sides, studio B-sides, like Tokyo and She Comes Scattered and Identical Twin from various singles, but this one just happens to be all live tracks. But yeah, in general, I miss the single. That's one of the things that streaming has killed. You talk about your physical formats, but there's no need when you issue a single digitally to have a B-side on it because you don't have a blank side of a thing. And granted, you didn't have a blank side of a CD either, but they generally carried on the tradition of the B-side on CD singles. And I miss them, and I wish I could find these hidden gem tracks that they still existed, and they still put them out. So that's just my 2 cents on singles and why I wish singles still mattered. I won't even get into my whole tirade about the charts and anything else, but yeah, I will leave my very juvenile connection of the ability to put the word "but" in front of each of those titles to make something that will make you, or make me anyway, giggle like a small child. And hey, if you made it to the end, thank you for watching. I should say look out for Eric's response video. We are going to take a week off. He may do his response on Monday, or he may wait until the next Monday. But we are going to take a week off while we do some family stuff. And yeah. So I'll be back in 2 weeks. Eric will have one video out in the meantime, either on Monday or the following Monday. So look to the Plastic Soundwave Cult for that. And hey, if you subscribe and get notified, you'll know exactly which day he puts that video out. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thanks for watching.